All right, here we go. We are live here at Imperial Pizza in South Buffalo. We are taping this on a Saturday afternoon. This is going to drop next week. Always good to be here. I am joined by two special guests today. To my far left, good friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, co-author of a book that we're going to talk plenty about here over the next few minutes. And in between us, Buffalo Bills great wide receiver, Stevie Johnson, man. What's going on, guys? How you doing?
What up, P? How you doing? Good to see you again.
Charlie, my man. We're going to talk about your brand new book. And again, we're taping this on Saturday. So by the time people are watching and seeing this, it's actually going to be available for anyone to purchase. Freddie J makes his play. We'll talk about that in just a minute. First, let's talk about this place, though, man. So I don't know about you guys, and I know you guys have had a long day, a long couple days and days coming up promoting this book, but I'm stuffed.
Oh my goodness! Tell me, look, we was very active since about 6-7 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
All we've been thinking about is Imperial Pizza. Imperial Pizza and wings, man.
Yeah, this place, and we talked about this over dinner here, or lunch, I should say. The wings here and the pizza here are just so consistent. It's steady, and if you like this place, you're gonna like it every single time. You know?
Absolutely. The atmosphere, the whole vibe, the energy, the people. It's one big community in one spot right here in Imperial.
It's
and the
all
food is great,
and it's always pretty cool to sit here and just observe it while we're eating wings. And people, by the way, I mean, they're being respectful, letting you eat and stuff like that. But it's always cool seeing people come up to you and want their picture, and you're always gracious towards them as well. It's
yeah,
cool to see.
I'm for it, man, because that's basically what my whole character was about when I became a professional. I wanted to be the guy that was approachable. I wanted to be the guy where the kids would look at it and say, I'm not afraid or shy to go say, hey, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Or get a dap or pound, and that's pretty much what it is. So even when I'm sitting here eating these delicious wings, it don't matter. The guys come up, the fans come up, and it's all good. They know we family.
They're leaving me and Charlie alone, though, man.
That's how it is. It's all good. Yep.
All right, I do want to talk about this book. And again, it's interview on camera. I'm going to hold it up as well. Freddie J makes his play available right now. Let's start. I mean, I know the basic premise, and I've read the release and talked to you obviously a lot, Charlie. It's about overcoming obstacles to become a fan favorite and build a professional legacy. Just talk about both you guys. Talk about the premise of this book, how it came about, the process of you guys putting it together, which, by the way, I also got to make sure Zachary McCabe, the illustrator, big part of this book, obviously, he's not here with us today, but wanted to make sure I gave him his flowers as well.
Zach's got a newborn, 4 weeks old. Otherwise, he'd be right here with us.
Talk about this book. What gave you the idea to do it? What gave you guys, the inspiration? And like I said, just talk about the premise of it and all that.
Yeah. You touched on it a little bit. And as far as like obstacles, overcoming obstacles, believing in yourself, those were the main things that we wanted to spark these kids' minds with. Understanding that you're going to go through obstacles. Things aren't going to be perfect. And when you do go through those obstacles, just revert back to what you know, and that's believing in yourself and in your community, your family, because they got your back. And this is what the book entails, from Minds and to Freddie J's story.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing for the kids to understand that life isn't perfect, but it's going to be okay.
Sure.
Yeah, no, and I think, to build on that, right? Stevie, Zach, and myself kind of came together in kind of a unique way, right? Stevie and Zach were working together already on a coloring book. Stevie and I met at a beer event.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah. And then Stevie and I reconnected, when I hit him with the idea for his story. But, we pretty quickly realized that we had more than one book in the hopper. We got Stevie's story out, and we realized, hey, it's not just you, who overcame long odds,
sure,
and faced obstacles. We looked at guys like Fred, undrafted, kind of took the road less traveled,
the D3 route,
right? And he was also there for Stevie.
Sure.
He was one of Stevie's. If I can speak for you, one of your mentors. One of the people that kind of took you under his wing.
Yep. When I first got in, Freddie, because I was a 7th round draft pick, so bottom of the depth chart. You don't really have too many people that you can look up to in a sense, or have a vision to understand, okay, I can probably get there. Freddie was my vision, So him coming in, being undrafted, starting at the bottom of the depth chart, and then working his way up to becoming a captain, it just made me feel like, okay, it can be done. And that's all the spark we need, and that's all the spark these young kids need out here in this world, just to see that it can be done, or have the knowledge of it being done, and that can take them to a whole nother level. And that's what we have with our Spark books.
Yeah, and I think we looked at too, like, hey, 7th round draft picks, undrafted guys, they're not supposed to play 10 years and make meaningful contributions year over year and become fan favorites. But that's what these guys did.
Yeah,
right?
Look, not everybody who comes in the NFL is a blue chip prospect.
Right.
Everyone's a day one and a day two pick, but you see it year after year, in organization after organization. Teams are built on guys like Stevie Johnson, guys like Freddie Jackson, who take that different path to the NFL and ultimately help contribute and achieve success for this team. I kind of wanted to talk to you, Stevie, about, when you're preparing to play all the years, high school, college, professionally, I'm sure you have a training regimen, a routine. When you're promoting a book, like, putting something together, that creative side, I'm sure that for the most part is fun. It's work, but it's fun. When it comes to promoting something, like, say, let's for an example, this book that you guys got coming on now, Freddie J Makes Us Play. Talk about that process a little bit, because like you just said it right at the top, you guys have been active since 6-7 o'clock this morning. Yeah. Just that process of what it's like when you're really grinding to put something out, and kind of liking it as well to, like say a musician, an artist, they put out an album and the music's great and they love doing that. But now you got to, whether it's going on tour to promote it, or whether you're going on every talk show that'll have you to help promote it, just that process a little bit. That's a grind, right?
Yeah, it is a grind. And it started off, I'm going to get right to it. Like we said, it's not going to be perfect. Those days, those grind days, it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to want to do it every time. You're not going to want to go to every show. But the best thing about it is, if you have a passion for it and this is what you meant to do, or you're meant to do, those good days, bad days, it's not going to matter, because you have a purpose.
Right.
And right now, I feel like we both know we have a purpose with these books and what we're providing to the kids, and even adults that read it, because they teach the kids something.
Sure.
But when you have that passion, the work doesn't matter. It's not really work, It's just doing what we naturally do. And incorporating things that we naturally do, and this is one of those things.
Yeah, it's funny too, man. Like I'm not trying to to sugarcoat or to BS. Like, we're having fun with it, right?
Yeah.
We're getting ready to go on Channel 4 a couple weeks ago, and we're just kind of chewing the fat. And I said something stupid, and he's laughing, and I'm one of these people that if you're laughing, I'm gonna laugh, and then I can't look at you because I'll be like a 10-year-old. Yeah. And little did we know, we were already mic'd up. Mics were hot. We're getting. I mean,
this is at Channel 4.
Yeah. We were waiting to go on. But we're like two big kids. You know what I mean? But so we're the grind, but we're having fun with the grind.
Right. Yeah. We work well together, and then just adding Zach into it, he kind of balanced everybody out, but he still got his little funny sentences and lines that he brings. So. We naturally came together. We didn't force none of this.
Right.
It kind of naturally happened, and I think that's what's going to help us take it over the top, too. Nobody's forcing anything.
You can make, no matter how hard you work, you can make it fun, like you guys both allude to. But at the end of the day, it is still a commitment, though. Like I said, just today alone, Saturday, you guys been at all day. Yep. You were in Lockport, and then Charlie texted me. You guys are on your way here. I'm sure you got a lot more stuff going on. Again, we're taping this, so by the time people listen or watch, it'll already be out, but you guys have got a big event at Resurgence on Sunday. That's going to be the official launch of the book.
It don't stop, though. And I want you guys that's listening to understand, it don't stop. You will get tired, but that don't mean you stop. That don't mean you give up. You feel me? You got to keep going. We got a bigger plan. We got a mission to take over the world, to be honest. Right now, we holding down Buffalo, taking care of our community, our home, but we have a mission to take care of everyone, because there's guys out there that's got stories outside of Buffalo, outside of California, where I'm from, and we want to help everyone,
Sure.
So this is only the beginning, to be honest, and it's huge already.
Now, I'll plug this again at the end when we're done here, but Charlie, tell people who are listening and watching right now exactly how they can get this book, besides coming right up to you at Imperial while we're eating wings and saying, yo, can I get a copy of that book, and Stevie sign it for us.
We're at the car dealership.
Yep. Hey, those are all good ways too. But the book itself, the best way to get it, the least expensive way to get it is through our publisher, and that's imaginewepublishers.com. But it's also going to be available at local bookstores like Alice Ever After. They've been a great partner to us. Great store just to go check out anyway. And that's on Parkside in North Buffalo.
Yeah, make sure you check out the book. And see, I want to switch gears for a minute here. And Stevie, I wanted to ask you about Exposure Academy. And by design, because I knew that you were going to be here today and we were going to be talking, I haven't, by design, tried to find out much about it. I've heard a lot of buzz about it. What's going on? Kind of explain to people right now who might not know anything about Exposure Academy, what exactly it's all about and what you're doing.
Yeah, Exposure Academy is a nonprofit that I began, and it was a way that I can go deeper into the student athletes and entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody know me as an athlete, so I'm supposed to put on camps.
Sure.
And that was cool. I was enjoying putting on camps. However, I seen more. I wanted to educate the kids more on life, not just sports. And the camps didn't give me that time. So I sat back. I talked with Charlie, talked with Z, and JR, my brother back home, and we created this type of destination symposium to where we house kids for a week. Kids can come from anywhere. And
really?
We fly them in for free. They stay for a week with other kids. They learn skills and they learn tips and techniques from on the field as well as off the field. The main things that we teach them is how to cook, teach them a skill, which is barber, teaching them like a barber school. We bring barbers in and we bring a chef in, and really anyone around the community that has a skill that they would like to teach, we offer them to come to our house and teach the kids something, and mentor them. So that was something that we thought of and felt like this can help kids a whole lot more than just coming to a hour camp, a 2-hour camp.
Sure.
So,
wow.
Exposure Academy is definitely the future, and that's our baby.
I wanted to ask you about being a football player and playing at the highest level. How important, and you talked about it a little bit just now too, it's more than just football, or forget football, just sports, or forget sports, any activity. You have kids and that they're involved in learning things. Just kind of speak a little bit about the importance of A, if you have children, just having them involved in something, and B, and we will go back to football for this, being more than just football. You're talking about life skills and things that you get from playing a sport and how important that is to kids growing up, becoming young men and women.
Precisely. Yeah, it's definitely more than sports. The thing is, if I can play football forever, if anybody can play football forever, then I probably wouldn't have an Exposure Academy because we wouldn't be injured. We can just play the game forever. However, this doesn't last long.
Mm-hmm.
However, but a skill or a trade, like for instance, cutting hair, that can last you forever. Yeah. You can make money off that as long as you're alive, So those are the things. That's what we're thinking about, implementing in these kids that join our Exposure Academy. And I don't want to. It's not like I'm reinventing the wheel. We're not really reinventing the wheel. We just opening up this mentorship for more people. Before I close this sentence. So like Freddie wasn't drafted.
Right.
Okay. So I was drafted. The NFL they do a great job. However, they only provide the symposium for drafted guys, and the symposium it tells us it's a great mentorship for incoming athletes that finally make the league. But there was guys like Freddie that didn't get to have this opportunity. So I felt like, let me create this for guys before they even get to the NFL or college. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much where the basis of it kind of came.
That's awesome. Yeah. That is that really is. That is awesome. Talk about. I want to talk about Buffalo. We were talking about this a little bit over wings. Now we're kind of like in 3 different boats here. Charlie, if I'm correct, you're Buffalo born and raised, and you've been here. Like
Buffalo,
you're a lifelong Buffalo through and through.
Indeed.
I was born and raised here. I spent 5 years in Florida, and then I moved back here in 2021. Stevie obviously is not from Buffalo. We played here for 6 years, and we talked about this. And I want to say this on the air for people who are watching and listening. I said the same thing when we talked about this with Howard Simon. You cannot be born in Buffalo but still be a Buffalonian. And Stevie Johnson, for everyone watching and listening, is a Buffalonian through and through. No question about that. Talk a little bit about just this city and, coming here originally. We don't need to talk too much about your career. People know about your career and all the awesome things that you did as a Buffalo Bill, but just coming a different culture, a whole different area for you. Moving here first to play professional football, and even not living here now, but you're still back here a lot. You know the fabric of the city and what it's all about. Just talk about Buffalo and how you embrace Buffalo, and also Buffalo in return embrace you as well through all these years.
Yeah, that's good. You even brought that up, man. I take pride in being a California Buffalonian. You know, so thank you for that. And I felt like when I got drafted, I felt like the city drafted me too, even though it was just the team. Sure. I mean, the organization. But when I got here, I seen there was a gap as far as the fans was in the stands, the players was on the field. You know, even when plays was being made, there was still no connection. Nobody was like going to the crowd. They would probably get rah-rah, but they'd do it with their teammates and then go back. And I just remember being on the sideline one time, not in uniform, and I seen one of our teammates make a play, and the crowd went crazy. And I'm looking back at the crowd, and I'm seeing a player. I'm like, is he about to, interact with the fans? And just went right back to the huddle. And I was like, I know exactly how I'm gonna get known for these fans,
Yeah.
And I got my opportunity a few weeks later, and boom. And from that moment, I felt like the Buffalo fans, they kind of kept me on the team, because like Charlie was saying, 7th round draft picks don't really make an impact, or they don't stay on the team.
Not often.
You may be on there for a practice a little bit, and then you off to the next. I felt like when I had that opportunity to connect with the fans, that helped me get my name spread through the message boards, and that kind of helped me stay on the team as long as I could, and then I just leveled up from there. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was pretty much being the first to engage players and fans, but now you see it as like second nature. You don't even think about it, But at that time, it was something new, and ultimately it turned into the mafia, but it got ignited by a certain play in our book, which everybody probably already read the book now, or volume 1. But yeah, like that, the Pittsburgh game, that just ignited the Bills Mafia, and what it also did with as far as bringing Bills Mafia a name, it also showed me that these fans, they really care for me, because I thought I let them down. I thought I was just, I messed up everything for them, but they had my back so much, and I felt like from that moment on, I'm for life a Buffalonian.
Are you, in your wildest dreams ever, that situation and how things turned out, the birth of Bills Mafia, in your wildest dreams, did you ever think that? Because ain't nobody coming to this town anymore and saying, all right, let's go Bills Nation, or Bills whatever. It's Bills Mafia, and literally everybody knows that. And it wasn't like this was 40 years ago either. I mean, this is a relatively short amount of time.
Indeed.
Do you ever picture something like, God, man, you had such a big part, and you hear the term every day, literally, Bills Mafia.
Yeah, I mean,
wild.
I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew when I was a kid, and the feeling I had when I looked up at the TV, and I felt like I would never be able to talk to this person. So if I get in that position, I want the kids that's watching TV to feel like I can go talk to that dude, and that's what we're living in right now.
We had a kid last night. I shouldn't say kid. He's probably 22, 23. We were doing a little recon mission at Resurgence last night, and dude came up to him and said, like, when I was 7, you were my guy.
Yeah.
And
it stuck with him. Yeah, I seen it in his eyes, man. It was like. It was pride. It was the pride, not just me, but just his team, this Buffalo. That was his team.
I'm not BSing you, because you're my guest and you're sitting, inches away from me. You really are one of the more popular players that has been here literally in several eras. And it's really cool to see. And I know you're thankful for fans, obviously, but it's pretty cool. Like, even say when we're just doing a little podcast like this, and you're at a restaurant in South Buffalo and you're sitting down, and again, people are want to get their picture with you, or even just say hello or smile at you and stuff like that. It doesn't get old, does it?
No, not at all, because I know the work was put in for that, and it's not for nothing negative. Anything positive, I'm for it. I'm not the type that, hey, leave me alone, don't bother me, I'm eating type. Hey, this might be your only opportunity to see me. You know, so here I'm not gonna trash you for coming up to say hi or just take a picture.
2 former Buffalo Bills greats that I've had opportunity to have interviews with before, Darryl Talley and Eric Moulds. They spent many years in Buffalo. They spent the rest of their careers somewhere else. Darryl spent the last year of his career in Atlanta, and he said he was miserable. And after Eric was eventually got traded actually to Houston, and he spent a year in Houston and a year in Tennessee before his career was over. And when I talked to both of them, they both said it just wasn't the same after they left Buffalo. Now, you spent 6 years there in Buffalo, and then you ended your career first with San Francisco and then with San Diego. Do you kind of feel the same? You know, like it wasn't quite the same. It's not that you didn't embrace where you went, but it just, well, Daryl didn't. Daryl couldn't get out of the Atlanta organization fast enough at the time. But anyway, it wasn't the same when you left Buffalo, was it?
Yeah, I was sad, to be honest, when I found out that I was going to be moved to San Francisco. Even though San Francisco is my home team, who wouldn't want to play for your home team? I felt like I had work to do here, and this was my new home team. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to break the drought, but that was my main mission. And when I went out to San Francisco, I was sad, to be honest. I was sad. I was happy for the family to be back, but I wanted to be in Buffalo. I'd rather stayed in Buffalo my entire career. That's on me though. I should have been better in the sense.
And I talked to another one, to Isaiah McKenzie recently, who just he was released and he's with the Colts and he's happy. Obviously, he's saying all the right things, and I'm sure he is genuinely happy a part of him to be in Indy. But you could tell he kind of like you. Yeah, he really embraced Buffalo and came to love it. Very fun cat too. He's a fun dude. You know what I mean? So I think he's kind of going through that a little bit. I said I wasn't going to talk about your career or ask any questions about it, but I lied because I have a friend here. His name's Mike. I got to give him a shout out. He told me to ask you this. And look, every time I say I got someone on the show, like, make sure you ask him to speak to your head. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I do. He had a good question because I always wanted to know this, and I know a lot of fans are going to want to know this. Darrelle Revis, Hall of Fame corner, Revis Island, one of the greatest shutdown corners of all time. That's like an island that you didn't visit, though. Yeah. You had a lot of success. It was almost uncanny how much success you would have against Darrelle Revis during your career compared to other great wide receivers. I got to ask you, it might sound like a simple question. I don't know, but how? How did you have so much success against Darrelle Revis like you did?
It was, shout out Darrelle Revis, one of the best, like you
Absolutely.
said. Shut down everybody, but it wasn't about football going against Revis. It was just about skill and me utilizing a different skill in a different sport. You know what I'm saying? I used basketball and football, and I understood he's not practicing basketball defense. You know what I'm saying? He's practicing for football defense. Yeah. So once I noticed that every DB wasn't the match, to be honest. It wasn't nothing that he didn't do right. It was nothing that none of the DBs didn't do right. It was just at that time nobody was playing basketball, so I was already just a step ahead on them. Nobody can guard me.
It was fun to see, and again, it was just like really, it was going out there. I don't want to say own, but you certainly had a lot of really good outings against him for sure.
Yeah. The main thing is I changed my mindset to not run routes. I'm not running routes. I'm just spending time, wasting time, or trying to distract you until I get to a certain time, and then I'm gonna snap off. And I know I'll always have at least a step on you, and that's pretty much how it was.
I want to ask you a couple questions to see maybe if you remember these or not. A long time ago, maybe so, maybe not. But everybody knows about the 3 touchdowns against Cincinnati. The game that was like the biggest of coming out parties for you, of course. Do you remember the game? And I looked this up to make sure, where you had a career high in yards. Wasn't the Cincinnati
Chicago
game? Nope. Close. That was second.
We wasn't in Toronto playing against the Bears?
Nope. That was
the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens.
There it is. Yep. 2010 Baltimore Ravens, 158 yards you put up on them. And then that was going to be the follow-up question. If you remember the most catches you had at a game, that was against the Chicago Bears. You grabbed 11 passes.
That was 11. I didn't even know.
Yeah, you had 11 catches for 145 against Chicago.
The main thing about the Baltimore that I remember was afterwards they traded Lee. I didn't understand why.
Oh.
Why would you get rid of another asset, another piece? But that was what we was playing in. That's why it's so beautiful to have this team now, because the management is on the same page as the team, and then the fans are on the same page as both of them. So that everything's working together. At that time, it was as if it wasn't all one accord, to be honest. You don't have Lee Evans who scored 2 touchdowns, I believe 2 or 3 touchdowns that game, and I have 100 and something yards this game, and then you trade him. Like I don't. What's the point? I'm not a first round draft pick getting millions of dollars. You know, it was like one of them. It was one of them type of things behind the line. I mean, behind the screen. We wasn't together. You know, the organization wasn't together. That's why it's so great to see this organization now.
What team or what teams did you get like most up for? Like, what would you play? And you looked at the schedule. I mean, obviously you knew we were going to play in the AFC East, of course, every year. But was there like 1 or 2 teams you looked at and you're like, man, I really want to go out and play my best? And you want to play your best against every team, but was there like 1 or 2 teams that like maybe you hated?
Nothing. The main thing was we got to win so we can get to the playoffs. So every team was that one, and you know it was battles. It was battles. Sometimes the offense was going crazy. Sometimes our defense would go crazy and our offense wouldn't. It was fun. It was good times. You know what I'm saying? But I wish it was how it was now because I can only imagine how things would have been.
Yeah, but you're still part of it in a way.
Indeed.
And so are Freddie, and so are a lot of players. You know what I mean? So. It's good to see again. You're a Buffalonian, so
trials and tribulation. I was a part of the trials.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's spend just a couple minutes before we get out here. Talking about this current roster. Now, again, I know you were here a couple months ago. I'm Matt Perino. Shout out to him. Shout Buffalo podcast. And I was back there producing the show, so I heard some of the conversation. But the offseason, for the most part, is complete. Now we know this roster. Going into training camp, you're a wide receiver, so obviously I got to ask you about the wide receivers. The Bills made 2, I don't want to say big splash acquisitions, but certainly guys I think that improve the depth of the position for sure. It could do some things. I'm referring to Trent Sherfield, who came over from Miami, and Deontay Hardy over from the New Orleans Saints. Like, what do you think of those additions? They're in. Jay Kumero's out. Isaiah McKenzie, who I mentioned. They're out, so they kind of like replacing those guys, in this depth chart.
Yeah, it was good that we not always good to see guys leave, of course,
Sure.
But bringing those guys in are guys that's been in the league a few years. You know, we also drafted a couple guys. I think we drafted 1, maybe 2 receivers, and we picked up 1 in undrafted. So our depth is good and it's universal because we're not really forcing those young guys to get in there right now. You know,
sure.
You obviously go learn from Diggs and Gabe. The top 2, and I'm gonna throw Knox in there too because when you throw in Kincaid, he's like a hybrid of a receiver tight end. So our pass game should be lethal, and the depth should be. I mean, at how we speaking about it right now, we shouldn't have no issues with depth. It's just about being on the same page as far as one whole unit as the offense, running the ball and passing the ball.
Were you surprised a little bit the Bills took a tight end, and I want to use air quotes here in the first round because, Dalton Kincaid played like that big slot position, kind of like you mentioned, like a hybrid. Did that surprise you that they took him as opposed to, say, a traditional wide receiver?
I'm going to let Charlie answer this one.
I was going to say we were going back back and forth on draft night, and, my man's a wide receiver. He was calling for a tight end, though.
Really?
Calling for a tight end. I was like, we need a hybrid tight end. Like a extended safety valve for Josh, just in case we have some problems. He can get right over the middle, tall, and can block and pass. Like it was perfect, and then we ended up picking Kincaid.
Yeah, so. I think it was funny.
I wish I would have talked to you. I wouldn't have been a surprise.
Well, I told him, I said, all right, Darnell Washington. Hopefully he falls. He wrote me back, nah. And then like about 10 minutes later, we need a hybrid guy. Then they drafted Kincaid, and then he's. Called me out on Twitter. Yo, what'd I say?
I was team drafted wide receiver. I'm going to be completely honest.
But we got,
As I learned about the pick and educated myself about it, I really started liking it. Plus, which leads to what I wanted to ask you here. But this is a big year for Gabe Davis, okay? It's a contract year. I thought he was good as a rookie. I thought he was really good in his second year. Maybe just bloated expectations for him last year, and also in fairness to him too, he was not healthy for a nice chunk of last year. Inconsistent but talented. I think that's what he is at this point. But anyway, a big year for him for the Bills and for himself because he's could be a free agent after this year. Do you think, I don't want to say even some Bills fans at least, like they kind of given up on this guy too? Like people are cramming, please give me a wide receiver. Well, they got Stephon Diggs and they got Gabe Davis.
Well, I think the fans are saying give us a receiver because depth. You know,
Sure.
The league has turned into teams full of depth. You know, and Gabe, he's been phenomenal, to be honest. If we want to put it in let's put it like this. When I was in my third year, I was new, having probably 100 and something yards, you know, coming in. And that's when I finally got to play. Gabe's been playing from his rookie, second, third. So he's always going to be good. He's going to keep going up. Obviously dealing with injuries is something that's tough. It's something tough for everybody, but that's not an excuse. You know, I don't think I've ever heard him make an excuse on it.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I just think the fans was calling for a receiver because we just need more depth. We understand he's been doing a lot. Diggs been doing a lot. Team defenses are getting smarter. They're learning how to guard multiple players. That's why we wanted the tight end, so we can have an extended receiver, a bigger extended receiver. And when we get covered up on Diggs or Gabe, we can go with one of the other guys.
Sure.
You know, that's why we want all the depth. So I think people are probably just putting too much on Gabe at this point, and got to realize he only in his third year. You know, he's only his third year.
A few quick things here, then we're going to wrap up. I want to circle back to not what you did on the field, but more in the locker room. A couple little quick fun facts or fun things I wanted to ask you. In the locker room with all your teammates, who was the funniest? Who's the funniest guy that you can remember playing with in the locker room?
So is that a Fred or Tashard choice?
Tashard choice?
Fred, Tashard, really all the running backs, Marshawn, Fred, and I don't know something about that running back room, but those guys, they funny. They made our locker room just nice and loose and light.
I would have loved to have gotten to know Marshawn Lynch. He just seems like such a fun person, fun character.
I'll tell you a quick story about him. Mm-hmm. Before I even got to the NFL, we training in LA. And then, you know, me being from the Bay Area, I knew of Marshawn. He a Bay Area legend.
Sure.
I never met him though. So I get to LA, we train him for NFL. Then Marshawn come in. He got his Jabot jeans, and long t-shirt, hat, and regular pants, regular shoes. Man, he went in there and was on a squat rack in a pull. I don't even know what the name of this stuff is, but he probably had like maybe 270 or 280. Just walking in and doing it naturally, like, all right, y'all, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, this dude is different. He's different.
That's cool.
And you know, you see it on the field, legend. He a legend. And then Freddie was the incredible Hulk. He'd be in there trying to wrestle everybody, showing how strong. Freddie, we know you strong already. You're not little no more, bro. He'd be in there trying to wrestle everybody. Tashard Choice was super cool. Booth Nation, shout out to you, Shard. It was a good room. I don't even want to leave out Fitz. Fitz was a quarterback, but he was super cool, like a super dude.
He's super entertaining on TV nowadays. I love him. I think he's got a nice career ahead of him doing that. Who's the toughest guy in the locker room? Like, if somebody was coming after you and you could pick somebody, you're like, I want this guy to have my back. Like,
oh yeah, Freddie for sure.
Yeah.
Freddie used to pick on us and he used to protect us. So it was either Freddie or Lee Smith. Lee Smith was my guy also. Shout out Lee.
Who was it?
Hey, a special thing about Lee. Lee's son Brody protected my daughter in first kindergarten when they was out here. She was getting bullied. And Brody stepped up and he protected my daughter.
Wow.
So shout out to Lee Smith in the Smith family. What up, Brody?
That is awesome. Who's the smartest person? Like, who's the smartest, nerdiest, whatever way you wanna phrase that?
The legend of
Fitz.
The legend of Fitz.
The legend of Fitz.
Yeah, dude. But the thing is, he was so smart, but he didn't. I'm gonna show you how smart I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just the way he interacted with everybody. It was just so smooth. He didn't have to think about things. You know, it was just natural. It was normal, and he was a quarterback at that. At a time where quarterbacks had to be somewhat robotic in a sense, you know, and he was not that at all.
Stevie, tell these guys. I hate to jump in, but you told a story this morning that I thought was fascinating. You know, something that I never heard before. Tell these guys about the "You Do You." That
was pretty cool. So I was asked at Anna Merritt school about what my favorite route was, and it was a good question. So I said my favorite route was when Fitzpatrick, he goes to the line and he does this sign to me. It's a Y sign, and that means "You do you." So I would go. And this is a testament to Fitz not being a robot. I would go to the line. I would either run a fade or a slant, and he would read it as I'm making my moves off the line, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty cool for him because he's sacrificing himself on not doing a 3-step drop or a 4 or 5-step drop. He's just playing football with me.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to, you know, do what I did. And one of those plays was against the New York Giants, and I had the fade on the back end zone. But that was Fitz telling me, "You do you," and that was just the connection that we had.
That is so awesome. All right, we're gonna get out of here, but I do want to circle back to one last thing here. Being talking Buffalo, you know, I talked earlier about Charlie. You're born and raised here. You know the city. You've been here your whole life. You are an adopted son of Buffalo. I was here my whole life -5, and when I was gone during those 5 years, I think I when I lived here, I kind of took all the community, the togetherness of Buffalo for granted. It's just like whatever. That's all I've ever known. It's no big deal. And then I go somewhere else, and I love Florida, but it's kind of like everyone's more to themselves here. And I told you the story in the audience who's sitting back there watching us. I had a good friend of mine, Ryan. Shout out to him. You had a little conversation with him before the show. He's fighting stage 4 cancer, and he's from South Buffalo, born and raised here, lived in Florida with me for a couple of years. And we put a benefit. We put a nice little team together and put a benefit for him. And I'll never forget this. I came back, it was the summer of 2021, found out about him being sick, and we put a benefit together for him. And people literally came out of the woodwork, man. Friends, strangers. Hey, what can we do? What can I give you for a raffle that, you know, I help make more money? Imperial Pizza, I can never thank them enough, man. Like $600-700 worth of free food. No questions asked either. You know what I'm saying? People, Josh Allen signed a jersey for us. It was just, I could keep going on and on and on. And just the community, just people coming together when somebody falls down, the way they pick you up in this city. And I'm not just saying, this isn't no BS, man. This is real talk here. It just, this city, you know, no city's perfect. We have flaws just like everywhere else. But when the chips are down and something happens to somebody, they just pick you up like nothing I've ever seen. Let's end it this way. See, we talk about that because you've got an experience. It's like I said, you're like an adopted son to Buffalo now. You've been around a lot of stuff like this, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they don't call it the city of good neighbors for nothing.
Right.
You know, and like you said, no city, no area, no person is perfect. But this is one of those communities where they are loyal and they got your back. You be positive, show love to them, they got your back until the end. And it's a testament from Imperial Pizza, what they do. And I want to take a little bit further to West Her, the automotive car, car dealers. Like me and Charlie just spent some time with the Wheelchair Football League of Buffalo. So shout out to Wheels Mafia. And at first they had like the wheelchairs, you know, and it was bad for them. You know, you can't really move with that. West Her heard about it without a question. Sent 12 athletic wheelchairs.
It's awesome.
You know, and it's crazy. Like that's just the type of environment that we're in here in Buffalo. And I think every player kind of feels that when they come in. They probably had that same like Buffalo cold maybe, and then when they leave, it's like, man, I want to go back because it's just the love, the energy that they have, you know.
It outweighs the winners, don't it? The bad winners. I can't stand that. All right, guys, we are going to wrap this up. Make sure you go out and you get the book. Freddie J Makes His Play. I'll put all the ways to get it in the show notes as well. Charlie Roberts, my man. Buffalo Bills great. Stevie Johnson. Thanks so much, guys. Good to have you. Talk to you guys this week. Take care.